Immortality Season 5, Episode 10. I don't understand what Hua Tiandu is thinking. Tai sect lost many disciples during the siege against the demonic marshal. He actually said that because of the Yuaman incident, they suffered losses. To express his apologies, he will personally deliver 1,000 Jiazi divine pills as compensation. Tai sect skills were inferior. They failed to slay the demon and were killed instead. What does this have to do with Yuaman? If he wants to curry favor with Tai sect, he doesn't need to take all the blame himself and pretend to be rich and generous, throwing money around. He's a prodigal son. Even if he wants to project a noble image, this pretense is a bit much. It seems that not seeking justice for Yuaman is one thing, but what's even more absurd is that when Feng Han captured the 6 Grandmasters, he didn't seize the opportunity to back down. He didn't even pretend to submit and bring the matter to a close. He chose to forcibly attack Feng Han. If Feng Qingxue hadn't been unafraid of Hua Tiandu, Feng Han would probably be dead. Interpreting classic original works, savoring the fate of humanity. Hello everyone, I'm Oppo Fadian Xinhong from the Guman Zone. Welcome back to the original interpretation video of Eternal Life. Picking up where we left off, Feng Han unexpectedly captured the 6 Grandmasters of Tai sect and used them to threaten a ceasefire. Zhao Xuani and Song Wei were momentarily at a loss for what to do. At this time, Hua Tiandu jumped out to show off again, threatening that if Feng Han didn't release them, he would take away Feng Han's 5 Emperors' Great Cauldron. Feng Qingxue couldn't stand it anymore. How could a senior brother always side with outsiders and act self-righteous while bullying his own sect's disciples? Last time it was the 7-kill gourd, this time it's the 5 Emperors' Great Cauldron. And it's the same demonic rhetoric. It's simply outrageous. Hua Tiandu said coldly, "Do you think I covet this cauldron? I refined the 7-kill gourd, increasing its power tenfold, and gave it to your sister. Your accusation is baseless. Feng Han, I'll ask you one more time. Will you release them?" Feng Han stared at Hua Tiandu. "Do you think I'm still the same nobody from a year ago? If you dare make a move, I'll kill these 6 Grandmasters. Believe it or not. You think I wouldn't dare? Try me and see if I dare. All right then." Boom. Hua Tiandu moved. A phantom image erupted from above his head. This phantom wore embroidered robes depicting 1,000 wheels, the bright moon, and constellations, along with mountains, rivers, and the earth. The most mysterious thing was that this phantom had 9 hands and 5 heads. Its feet trod upon a giant turtle and a giant fish. Each of its 9 hands held a different magical weapon, a sword, a bow, a spear, a hammer, and so on. The 5 heads of the phantom all looked like Taoists, identical to Hua Tiandu, but each with a different expression. This was the celestial image that could only be condensed at the 9th level of divine ability. The 7th level of divine ability was the golden core. The 8th was the great fire tribulation. After passing through the great fire tribulation at the 9th level of divine ability, one could condense their magical power, Taoist principles, and spirit into a celestial image. Each person's divine ability was different, so the celestial image they condensed was also different. Once this celestial image was condensed, it could not only appear and disappear at will, traveling through space and beyond, completely free from the constraints of the physical body, but it also possessed boundless strength, coming and going freely. It could be considered a life spirit. Hua Tiandu displaying his celestial image, his life spirit, showed he was serious. As the celestial image, the life spirit, flew out, its large hand reached out, instantly encompassing the sky. The wind and clouds changed color as it grabbed towards Feng Han. Hong Laoma suspected that Hua Tiandu's direct display of this 5-headed, 9-armed celestial image was just showing off. What was the point of this bullying? Was it just to maintain his unquestionable authority, acting as a thug for Tai sect? Only a fool would do that. Just a slight concession, and this would have ended long ago. Release each other and leave. Good for you, good for me, good for everyone. everyone would save face. Oh, right, except perhaps Tai sect would lose face. So, was Hua Tiandu trying to single-handedly turn the tables and curry favor with Tai sect again? Although Fong Han anticipated that Hua Tiandu might attack, he didn't expect Hua Tiandu's strength to be so formidable. As soon as the celestial image, the life spirit, appeared, all airflow nearly froze. Even inside the world-destroying cauldron, it could be felt intensely. What's more, as the large hand grabbed towards him, it emitted bursts of celestial music that reached his mind, slowing his thoughts. You dare? Fong Qingxue reacted the fastest. Rolling thunderclouds erupted above her head, and a thunder god, similar in size to Hua Tiandu's celestial image, appeared. This thunder god stood upon dark clouds, clad in a robe of lightning and wearing a 5 directions crown. Its majesty radiated, reigning supreme. All lightning was under its command. Yin and Yang banners existed for it. Opening its eyes unleashed millions of thunderbolts, as if its eyes contained all the lightning in the world. This was also a celestial image, but not Fong Qingxue's own. It was the condensed image from the immortal slaying Devil King robe she wore. It was the immortal slayer Thunder Emperor. Hua Tiandu's celestial image, 5-headed and 9-armed, opened its mouths, emitting rolling celestial chants. Of its 9 arms, besides the one continuing to grab at Fong Han, the other 8 brandished weapons and flew towards Fong Qingxue's immortal slayer Thunder Emperor, attempting to tear it apart. The 2 colossal figures clashed in an instant. The celestial images battled. This revealed some of Fong Qingxue's true strength. Although she was still at the 6th level of divine ability, at the peak of the myriad laws shifting realm, she had trump cards to contend with a 9th level divine ability celestial image. Immense waves of magical power rippled outwards. Bang, bang, bang. In the distance, around the Taiyuan Immortal Mansion, some of the smaller floating palaces and halls were shattered by the tremors and fell to the ground. Ripples spread across the main hall of the colossal Taiyuan Immortal Mansion. The immortal restrictions outside began to faintly rotate. Fong Han, however, had no time to pay attention to the Taiyuan Immortal Mansion. Although Fong Qingxue blocked 90% of Hua Tiandu's attack, the remaining 10% was still too much for him to handle. The large hand grabbed onto the world-destroying cauldron, invading it almost effortlessly. Streaks of ki were no longer of the heaven-cold, profound nether realm, but a mixture of various divine abilities, immensely powerful. Several grand formations within the world-destroying cauldron immediately ceased functioning, their power greatly diminished. Under the impact of the celestial image's ki, tens of thousands of the over 200,000 heavenly demons within the 100 Ghosts screen were instantly killed. Heavenly demons crumbled one after another, the remaining ones sensing their impending doom and thrashing madly. 50,000 heavenly demons were dead. Now, less than 180,000 remained within the cauldron. Damn it! Even Yen felt troubled. He activated many formations within the cauldron to resist Hua Tiandu's invading magical power, but to no avail. One formation after another ceased functioning. The cauldron was pinned in the air. Fong Han wanted to unleash the blood sky shaking saber to attack, but the saber couldn't even leave the cauldron. The entire cauldron was sealed by Hua Tiandu's supreme magical power. Fong Han's pre-celestial ki cultivation, his 50,000 galloping horses worth of power, was utterly useless against such a celestial image's divine ability. Damn it! In for a penny, in for a pound. I'll just kill these 6 grandmasters. I'll risk becoming the enemy of the world. If you, Hua Tiandu, dare to make a move, I'm not a vegetarian either. At this critical juncture, murderous intent arose in Fong Han's heart, and he wanted to kill the 6 grandmasters. He had originally captured them only as bargaining chips, but Hua Tiandu didn't care at all and attacked immediately. This showed his arrogance and dominance. Remember, Zhao Xuani and Song Wei had both submitted. Fong Han originally thought that Hua Tiandu was supporting Tai sect, But now it seemed that wasn't the case. He had other motives. What was truly going on in Hua Tiandu's mind? This would be revealed later. The blood sky shaking saber in Fang Han's hand spun, ready to strike the 6 suppressed grandmasters. Fang Han also knew that if he killed the 6 grandmasters of Tai sect, he would immediately become the enemy of the world. These 6 grandmasters were much higher in status than Yao Dian and the other 2. Killing them in front of everyone, with irrefutable evidence, meant not only Tai sect would hunt him down, but even Yuamen wouldn't spare him. Capturing these 6 grandmasters and bringing them back to the sect would bring great honor to Yuamen, and he would certainly be greatly rewarded. But killing them was a different story. Fang Han was hesitant, but Hua Tiandu's aggression left him with no other choice. Simply put, despite his bluster and desire to attack, Fang Han was still hesitant. No! The Zhenyu Divine Cup is broken. Yen roared. Under Hua Tiandu's immense magical power, the Zhenyu Divine Cup disintegrated inch by inch. Fusho Grandmaster and the other 5 regained their mobility. At the same time, a surge of immense magical power poured in from the cauldron's opening, pulling the 6 out. Even Long Xian was pulled out. Long Xian had been desperately activating the Grand Formation, but the formation was forcibly stopped, and his body moved involuntarily as Hua Tiandu pulled him out with his immense magical power. The cauldron's protective formations were breached. Fellow Taoist Xuani, fellow Taoist Wei, I've rescued the 6 grandmasters of Tai sect. Long Xian, you shouldn't get involved. I'll send you out. Today's matter has nothing to do with you. Hua Tiandu's resonant voice boomed. The 6 grandmasters were thrown towards Song Wei and Zhao Xuani, while Long Xian was sent directly out of the Guishu passage. Thus ended Long Xian's journey with Fang Han in the Guishu. Only Yen, the demonic witch, and Fang Xiaolin would continue to accompany Fang Han in the Taiyuan Immortal Mansion. Hua Tiandu, you want to capture me? Don't even think about it. Fang Han saw Long Xian and the 6 grandmasters being thrown out. A surge of qi attacked him. This qi was incredibly condensed, unimaginably pure. It was even more profound than his own yellow qi of a much higher realm. 1 horse's worth of Hua Tiandu's qi could easily crush 100 horses' worth of his own. Although Fang Han's yellow qi was of high quality, Hua Tiandu's qi realm was too high. It was 7 realms higher than Fang Han's. 10 levels of divine ability, each level separated like mountains. The difference of 7 realms was like that between an ant and an elephant. In this perilous situation, Fang Han activated the blood sky shaking saber, struggling against this qi. A good opportunity. Zhao Xuani and Song Wei roared. The 2 golden core experts suddenly attacked. One unleashed the Black Sun Wind disaster, the other the Great Sunfire disaster, pouncing towards Fang Han. The Great Fire Tribulation suddenly enveloped the cauldron. Refine this person. Refine this cauldron. The 2 were taking advantage of his weakness, seizing this opportunity to steal Fang Han's cauldron and refine him. It was the perfect opportunity. The black whirlwind howled, like the wrath of ghosts and gods. The blazing flames flowed like molten gold, like an exploding sun. As soon as they entered the cauldron, Fang Han felt his body melting. Yes, melting like a candle. This was true refinement. Against the combined power of 2 golden core experts, Fang Han was powerless to resist. The situation was extremely dire. Well, the people of Tai sect are truly unscrupulous. After Hua Tiandu rescued the 6 grandmasters, they still resort to sneak attacks while I'm vulnerable. Such conduct is despicable. I'll fight. Fang Han suddenly tossed a berserk primordial beast pill into his mouth. He instantly felt the frenzied medicinal power raging through his body. Surges of violent magical power rose to his mind, merging with his own qi. His magical power increased layer by layer. Sacrificing 100 years of lifespan in exchange for a temporary boost in power to desperately stimulate his full potential. A destructive force emanated from him. I see. The Berserk Primordial Beast Pill contains a destructive power. This destructive power truly lives up to the name Berserk. Fong Han's magical power surged. Originally equivalent to 50,000 galloping horses, it now rose to 80,000, 100,000, 150,000, 200,000, finally reaching 300,000. This destructive power fully merged with his ki. Fong Han didn't know what exactly the destructive power within the Berserk Primordial Beast Pill was, but his magical power had increased 4 or 5-fold. He felt a surge of power throughout his body, an urge to destroy everything. Fong Han abruptly activated the saber and the world-destroying cauldron, breaking through the Black Sun Wind disaster and the Great Sun Fire disaster, attempting to charge out. Consuming the Berserk Primordial Beast Pill may increase your magical power, but the difference in realm isn't something a single pill can compensate for. Zhao Xuani and Song Wei suddenly felt their great fire tribulation being shaken. They immediately understood what was happening and sneered. Above their heads, a golden bead suddenly rose. This was a golden core, a Taoist golden core. The two had unleashed all their divine abilities, condensed into a Taoist golden core. This was the most essential thing for a golden core expert, the core of their lifelong cultivation. Zhao Xuani and Song Wei unleashed it, showing their determination. As soon as the golden core appeared, Fong Han instantly felt immense, overwhelming pressure, like a mountain and a sea. At the same time, he saw the phantoms of the two experts outside. "No," Yan said anxiously. "The difference in realm is too great. With both of them attacking at once, even I can't withstand it. We're doomed this time. Could my 1,000 years of cultivation be destroyed just like that? I'm not reconciled." Fong Han gritted his teeth. At the brink of death, he sought survival. "Go!" He erupted with unprecedented power, fully propelling the cauldron. With a whoosh, it flew towards the Taiyuan Immortal Mansion. He would rather risk a dead end, charging into the main hall of the Taiyuan Immortal Mansion, a path considered a dead end for centuries. "No!" Song Wei and Zhao Xuani were shocked. "Damn it!" Fong Qingxue was also startled. Propelled by brute force, the world-destroying cauldron whistled through the air, smashing towards the Taiyuan Immortal Mansion. This was unexpected. No one anticipated Fong Han's reckless move. After being captured by Tai sect disciples, there was still a chance of survival. But entering the Taiyuan Immortal Mansion was a guaranteed death sentence. The massive Taiyuan Immortal Mansion rippled, seemingly sensing the approaching world-destroying cauldron, reacting instinctively. These ripples spread, immensely powerful. Faintly, in the void, a sound like a landslide and tsunami could be heard, or perhaps the charge of stampeding horses. Even Zhao Xuani and Song Wei, with their cultivation, couldn't help but feel apprehensive. Celestial Image, 5 Devils' Great Magic Power break. Seeing this, Hua Tuandu unleashed his power again. The 5-headed, 9-armed celestial image spread its 9 hands, spanning dozens of miles, breaking through the magical resistance, grabbing fiercely towards Fong Han. He wanted to capture Fong Han before he entered the Immortal Mansion. A true disciple of Yuamen was no small matter. If he died like this, Hua Tiandu wouldn't be able to escape responsibility. But his activation of the celestial image further provoked the Taiyuan Immortal Mansion's restrictive formations. Rumble. The restrictions of the Taiyuan Immortal Mansion changed again. Countless rays of rosy light shot out, exerting immense pressure. As soon as they emerged, the 9 large hands of Hua Tiandu's celestial image began to crack. Then, the rosy light reflected back, fiercely enveloping Hua Tiandu, attempting to annihilate this disrespectful individual. The Taiyuan Rosy Light was truly formidable. 5 Devils, 9 Transformations. At this moment, Hua Tiandu sensed intense danger. The massive celestial image transformed repeatedly, shifting through 9 different forms. With each transformation, The rosy light shrank, returning to his body. In an instant, both divine abilities shrunk to the size of a fist. 5 devils reaching heaven and earth severance. At this critical moment, Hua Tiandu transformed again. 5 lights flickered intensely on his body, expanding hundreds, even thousands of times, transforming him into a colossal figure once again. Countless explosions erupted from his body, shattering the rosy light surrounding him. So powerful! He broke through the Taiyuan rosy light. I am at least 300 years of cultivation behind this Hua Tiandu. Seeing this, the demonic marshal's heart stirred. He gauged the strength of this number 1 true disciple of Yuaman. Although no one had a good impression of Hua Tiandu, they couldn't deny his strength. The main hall of the Taiyuan Immortal Mansion was enveloped in layers of restrictions, all left behind by the Taiyuan Immortal Venerable, who had nearly reached immortality in the eternal secret realm. No one could break them now. This Taiyuan rosy light was a type of forbidden magic. If it entangled someone, even a divine ability secret realm expert would only face death. Yet, Hua Tiandu had broken through it. But an opportunity like this wouldn't come again. The demonic marshal seized the chance and roared, "Hua Tiandu, I'm leaving. We will have a good fight another day." With that, his body transformed into a rainbow-like white light, shooting out through the Guishu passage. This was his demonic escape technique, the white bone escape. It was incredibly fast, as quick as lightning. Having reached the Golden Core realm, he could travel thousands of miles in an instant. Hua Tiandu, preoccupied with breaking the Taiyuan rosy light, couldn't stop him. Meanwhile, Feng Han's world-destroying cauldron was completely enveloped by the Taiyuan rosy light, disappearing like a drop in the ocean. He entered the Immortal Mansion. There's no way he'll survive. It's a pity about his 2 top-grade magical treasures, the Blood Sky Shaking Saber and the World-Destroying Cauldron. If we could get our hands on those, infused with demonic energy, and refine them with immortal techniques, our strength could increase tenfold. Seeing Feng Han disappear into the mansion, Fusho Grandmaster felt both happy and regretful. Indeed, it's such a waste, the Blood Sky Shaking Saber and the World-Destroying Cauldron. They'll probably be crushed into pieces by the numerous restrictions within the Immortal Mansion. But it's good that he's dead. At least we didn't kill him. He sought his own death. It's like we've eliminated a future threat. Otherwise, he would have shown at the Grand Immortal Gathering in 3 years, and we would have lost face. He died well. A good death. The 6 Grandmasters communicated telepathically. They had just been captured and suppressed by Feng Han. If word got out, not only would their centuries-old reputation be ruined, they wouldn't be able to show their faces anymore. But now that Feng Han was dead, they felt a sense of relief. Hua Tiandu, you forced Feng Han to his death, a true disciple of Yuaman. I will report this matter to Elder Tianqing and our master, and let them decide. Feng Han was a once, in 300 years genius of Yuaman, with immense natural talent and fortune. His potential was limitless. Now that you've forced him to his death, how will you explain this to our master? Feng Qingxue stared at the spot where Feng Han disappeared, remaining silent for a long time, as if about to explode, but she restrained herself. After a while, she finally said to Hua Tiandu, "Congratulations, Feng Han, on earning the title of once, in 300 years genius, recognized by your senior sister." Though, 300 years seems a bit of an understatement. Hua Tiandu snorted. He had already fallen into the demonic path. He brought this upon himself. Who's to blame? I tried to save him just now, but it was too late. Didn't you see? The demonic marshal escaped. You didn't win this bet. I'm not concerned with this matter anymore. Fellow Taoist Xuani, fellow Taoist Wei, what are your thoughts? Zhao Xuani said, we should pursue the demonic marshal. I hope the disciples of Yuaman won't interfere again. Otherwise, they will bear the consequences. This last sentence was clearly directed at Feng Qingxue. Fang Qingxue replied coldly, "Humph. I never interfered with your pursuit, but you forced a member of my Fang family to his death. I won't hold you accountable today, but at the Grand Immortal Gathering in 3 years, I will make the disciples of Tai sect understand that heaven's justice is inescapable. Retribution is swift." Humph. We'll be waiting. Zhao Shuani and Song Wei cupped their hands towards Hua Tiandu and flew out of the Guishu passage. Hua Tiandu also vanished. Fang Qingxue transformed into a flash of lightning and disappeared. Only a few low-level disciples from other sects remained, chattering amongst themselves. After finishing their gossip, they also left this unique space of the Taiyuan Immortal Mansion. Once again, eternal silence returned. This abandoned immortal mansion, isolated in the void, remained quiet, as if waiting to devour its next victim. So, what happened to Fang Han, who had charged into the restrictions of the Taiyuan Immortal Mansion? The protagonist certainly won't die. He will experience 360 years inside, while only 1 year passes outside. Such a long time. How will he and the demonic witch, Fang Xiaolin, survive? Find out in the next episode. Finally, don't forget to like, subscribe, and support us. Immortality Season 5, Episode 11. Song Wei and Zhao Shuani, 2 great Golden Core masters, joined forces to deal with Fang Han. Fang Han, the number 1, directly swallowed a demon-sealing life-reducing pill. At the cost of 100 years of his lifespan, he temporarily broke through the 2 beacon fire calamities. Then, he recklessly charged into the restricted zone of the Taiyuan Immortal Abode. No one had ever been able to return safely from the Taiyuan Immortal Abode. Fang Han's actions were tantamount to suicide. So, what exactly was the reason he survived? Interpreting the original classic, savoring human destiny. Hello everyone, I am Oppo Feitian Xinhong from the Guoman, Chinese Animation, Zone. Welcome to continue watching the original analysis video of Yongsheng Immortality. Picking up from where we left off, after everyone else had left, let's take a look at what happened to Fang Han. As he barged into the restricted zone of the Taiyuan Immortal Abode, an infinite Taiyuan rosy light enveloped him. The Wuyuang Ding, under the crushing force of the Taiyuan rosy light, actually showed signs of cracking all around. Many fissures appeared on it. The Taiyuan rosy light is an immortal divine light. Even the former Huangquan Great Emperor had to be wary of this light. A single Wuyuang Ding was truly not enough to fully protect Fang Han. However, fortunately, when Hua Tiandu tried to grab Fang Han at the last moment, he unexpectedly attracted most of the restriction's power, greatly reducing the pressure on Fang Han's side. In addition, Yan directly manipulated the Yellow Springs Earth, promptly protecting the Wuyuang Ding in the center. The Yellow Springs Earth itself is a Dao artifact, and a supreme-grade Dao artifact at that. At the same time, with the vapors of oblivion continuously shimmering, the Taiyuan rosy light also found it difficult to destroy. Just like that, Fang Han struggled to push forward. It is unknown how much time passed. Boom. The scene before him changed. Heaven and earth spun, and all pressure vanished. He had actually appeared in a vast, empty great hall. This hall was incredibly vast and magnificent, with rows of ornamental pillars soaring upwards. Layer upon layer of gateways resembled an ancient labyrinth, leading to unknown places. But this place was extremely desolate. The palace was filled with ancient traces everywhere, dilapidated steps, broken chairs, and even more weathered bones. It was literally littered with white bones. Among the white bones, some residual luster faintly shimmered, seemingly from some kind of magical treasure. Clearly, many people had died in this great hall, likely trapped here, unable to escape. Crack! Fang Han flew out from the cauldron. One foot landed on a string of white bones. Those bones seemed incredibly fragile, instantly crumbling to dust under his foot. This actually startled Fang Han. Fong Han asked, "How can this be?" Those who can enter this Taiyuan immortal abode are all great experts. Their physical bodies are as hard as iron. Even if their flesh decays, their bones shouldn't. Masters of the divine transformation realm, even after their physical bodies die, can be buried underground for hundreds of years without decaying, let alone masters of the mystical abilities adversity realm. Yen explained, inside this Taiyuan immortal abode, time flows differently from the outside. 1 year outside is equivalent to a long 360 years in here. Someone who entered here a year ago, it's as if 360 years have passed for them. A Heavenman Realm Master only has an 800-year lifespan. If only 3 years pass outside, they would have died of old age in here. These bones belong to those who entered here hundreds or thousands of years ago to explore. During the long ages of this palace, it's actually been tens of thousands of years, even hundreds of thousands of years. Over such a long time, even swords will decay. Even masters of the longevity realm will reach the end of their lifespan. Hearing this, Fong Han shivered. What? You're saying that staying here for 360 years is only 1 year outside? Yen said yes. Masters of the longevity realm can alter the flow of time. The higher their magical power, the greater their ability to change time. Taiyuan Immortal Venerable is rumored to be a master of the 10th stage of the longevity realm, able to manipulate time by a factor of 360. It's truly terrifying. After Fong Han received a definite answer, he immediately burst into laughter. Haha, heaven is truly helping me. He was worried that the gap between him and Hua Tiandu was too large, and with only 9 years left, it would be impossible to defeat Hua Tiandu. But here, time could actually be changed. Cultivating here for 10 years is equivalent to 3,600 years outside. If I go into seclusion here and then leave, dealing with Hua Tiandu will be a piece of cake. Yen said, the idea is beautiful, but reality is harsh, because this place is not suitable for cultivation. The Azure Emperor Wood Sovereign technique you cultivate requires absorbing a large amount of Wood's spiritual energy. There is none here. Moreover, the origin energy here is thin, and there are no spirit pills. Those masters who entered couldn't get out. They might have starved to death before their lifespan even ran out. If you can't get out, you will also starve to death here. Even those in the mystical abilities realm need to consume pills to survive. Masters of the longevity realm consume spiritual energy from the void immortal world. But in a place like this with nothing, they can only starve to death and then decay. That's the only path. Fong Han immediately looked around, breathing deeply. He found that in this magnificent palace, there was indeed no origin energy at all. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth, none of these origin energies were present. Indeed, one could not cultivate mystical abilities, let alone find any nourishing medicinal herbs or spirit pills. Apart from weathered bones, there was only the dilapidated palace. Fong Han looked back the way he came, only to find that the Taiyuan rosy light was gone. Outside the palace was a stretch of chaos with a terrifyingly turbulent aura. It was difficult to get in here, but even harder to get out. Even if a master of the longevity realm entered, getting out would not be easy. There was nothing here, no way to cultivate. Although there were some pills in the Wuyuang Ding, they would only last for 3 to 5 years at best. That is equivalent to only 3 to 5 days passing outside, and Fong Han would run out of supplies here. Understanding this, Fong Han started to panic a little. He looked around at the desolate surroundings again. There was truly nothing. And towards the chaos outside the palace, he felt an inexplicable sense of dread. He absolutely dared not try to force his way through. Suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind. He quickly sensed the world tree deeply hidden within his brow. Indeed, this sapling, which was originally absorbing immortal spiritual energy at all times, seemed to have entered an inexplicably, completely sealed space-time since entering the palace. The absorption of immortal spiritual energy became very slow, intermittent, like a dying patient. However, a wave of ecstasy suddenly surged in Fong Han's heart. Although it was intermittent, it meant that the World Tree's absorption of immortal spiritual energy had not been completely cut off. The World Tree was actually so magical, truly worthy of being the divine tree at the center of heaven and earth in ancient times. It could communicate with the immortal world, even in this place. As long as there was the nourishment of immortal spiritual energy, then cultivation would not be a problem. Moreover, the wood spiritual energy of the World Tree was enough to elevate his wood sovereign chi by several realms. Simply put, what was a desperate situation for others was not a problem for Fong Han because he had the World Tree. Thus, Fong Han couldn't help but laugh wildly again. He really had to thank the 7-Night Demon Lord for sending the 9 Yang sacred water. Everything was arranged just perfectly. Yen also found it incredible upon hearing this. The World Tree absorbing immortal spiritual energy, although much slower, was enough for Fong Han to cultivate. He definitely wouldn't starve to death. However, traveling with Fong Han was also a demoness, Fong Stalin. Currently, in the cauldron, there were still 3,000 yuanying pills, over 2,000 life-extending golden pills, and several thousand Biluo great pills, enough for her to eat for several years. But in the long years to come, it wouldn't be a big problem either. Because Fong Han could teach Fong Xiaolin to cultivate the Azure Emperor with sovereign technique, and in the future, she could absorb the World Trees with spiritual energy. This beauty beside him wouldn't starve to death either. The most crucial issue now was lifespan. It was easy to die of old age here. The 9 apertures golden pill Fong Han consumed could increase lifespan by 700 years. He cultivated the Yama golden body, and comprehending the true meaning of Ksitigarbha could also let him live for 300 years. Adding the two together, Fong Han had a lifespan of 1,000 years, comparable to a golden core master. However, Fong Han had previously taken the demon-sealing life-reducing pill, reducing his lifespan by 100 years, so now he only had less than 900 years remaining. As for the demoness Fong Xiaolin, she was 26 years old, in the prime of her youth. Because she was a great Azura, she had a lifespan of 500 years, so she still had over 400 years to cultivate. If, during this period, she broke through to the 5th level of mystical abilities, the Heaven Man realm, her lifespan would increase further. As mentioned before, lifespan doesn't increase before the Heaven Man realm. Cultivating to the Heaven Man realm allows one to live up to 800 years, and if one cultivates to the Longevity realm, lifespan can reach 10,000 years. In summary, they now had to cultivate desperately. 1 year inside was equivalent to only about 1 day passing outside. Even if Fong Han had 900 years remaining, it was only equivalent to just over 2.5 years outside, since 900 years divided by 360 is 2.5 years. This meant that after only a little over 2 years passed for people outside, Fong Han would die of old age. Therefore, he had to cultivate and break through realms to increase his lifespan. Of course, cultivation couldn't be rushed. Fong Han began to explore the surroundings to see if there was anything good. In his view, although there were so many decayed corpses here, there must be some things that hadn't decayed. Yen said, "That makes sense. Quite a few powerful figures managed to get in here. However, there should be no one from the Longevity realm. Masters of the Longevity realm would have all gone into the depths of the Great Hall. In the depths of this magnificent and vast palace, there were still many sealed great doors. Talismans flowed endlessly on them, beckoning people with all sorts of mysteries, but clearly, they were not to be touched. Fong Han stepped on various white bones throughout the Great Hall, making crackling sounds as he searched for anything of value. There were all sorts of dead people here, from various sects and schools, immortal path, demonic path, all kinds, as could be seen from some of the decayed clothes. The clothes worn by some of the white bones had been imbued with spiritual energy, refined from heavenly and earthly treasures. However, after such a long time, the great formations within them had dissipated, and the materials had also decayed. Fong Han casually picked up a longsword from a pile of white bones. It was covered in rust spots and looked completely like a piece of scrap iron. Yen looked at it, shook his head, and said, "What a pity." This was a supreme-grade flying sword, refined from thousand-year cold iron, a treasure artifact. But too much time has passed, and it has also decayed. Sigh, under such a flow of time, everything will decay, including immortals. Between heaven and earth, no one is truly immortal, no one is incorruptible. Perhaps only by finding the legendary gate of eternal life can one exist eternally between heaven and earth. Hearing Yan's desolate words, Fong Han's heart tightened abruptly. Even a sword forged from thousand-year cold iron had decayed. His remaining 900 years of lifespan suddenly felt truly too short. How long could one walk on the long road of time? Between heaven and earth, no one is truly immortal. Even the heavens, earth, sun, and moon will decay, let alone humans. Fong Han suddenly asked, "Aren't the God Clan immortal?" Yen said, "The God Clan just have extremely long lifespans. From birth, their lifespan is comparable to the longevity realm. Extremely high-level cultivators among them can even be compared to immortals. But it doesn't mean they are truly immortal. One day, when the world is destroyed, they too cannot escape their end. They have the same lifespan as heaven and earth, but heaven and earth also have a lifespan. One day, they too will collapse. After 2 years pass outside, will I die? Will I be trapped here and die like these people?" Fong Han thought, shaking his head. He suddenly felt a complete lack of interest, a desolation in his heart. No matter what treasure was placed before him, he had no interest. Even if he cultivated here to the 5th level of mystical abilities, the Heaven Man realm, he would only gain another 800 years of lifespan. If he lived to 1,700 years and died of old age, only about 5 years would have passed outside. There is no other elemental energy here, so he cannot cultivate other mystical abilities. Without fire, he cannot cultivate the Red Emperor Fire Chi. Without metal, he cannot cultivate the White Emperor Golden Chi. Without water, he cannot cultivate the Black Emperor Water Yellow Springs. Cultivating only one type of mystical ability means one cannot enter the Unity Realm. To cultivate to the 6th level of mystical abilities, the Myriad Laws Unity Realm, one must at least have all 5 elements complete. This is the most basic requirement. That is to say, yet another very realistic problem lay before Fong Han. So, how will Fong Han solve this potential problem? Tune in next time to find out. For more exciting plot analysis, please continue to follow Feitian Xinhong. Original analysis of Yongsheng Immortality. Fellow Taoists who enjoyed this, please like, contribute, and support.
Immortality Season 5, Episode 12. 1 year inside the Taiyuan Immortal Mansion is equivalent to only 1 day outside. To pass the long years ahead, Fong Han had Yen take the over 100,000 heavenly demons contained within the martial Jade King Cauldron and refine them all into Biluo Great Pills. These were all provisions for Demoness Fong Xiaolin. With the companionship of Adept Fong Xiaolin, Fong Han perhaps would not be so lonely. However, unexpectedly, within this immortal mansion, besides Yen, there was also a mysterious person. With just a point of his finger, this person enabled Fong Han to instantly save 180 years of cultivation time, allowing him to directly advance to the 4th level of the Divine Abilities Secret Realm, the Yin-Yang stage. Interpreting the original classique, savoring culture and destiny. Hello everyone, I am Oppo Feitian Xinhong from the Guiman, Chinese Animation Zone. Welcome back to our original analysis video of Yongsheng Immortality. Picking up from last time, Fong Han began his reclamation in the main hall, which essentially meant scavenging for treasures among the sea of corpses. However, after searching for a long time, he did not find a single pill. Apparently, everyone here had starved to death. How could they possibly have left any pills behind? Even if there had been any pills, they would have been consumed by those who arrived later. How could any possibly be left for Feng Han? Suddenly, Feng Han kicked a skeleton. The bone quality of this skeleton was different from the others. It was surprisingly white as jade, showed no signs of weathering or decay, and was also extremely hard. Notably, the inside of the skull was smooth and shimmering, and it seemed to conceal something.
Baiser de skeleton lait à magic treasure, a small spirit flag.
Embroidered on it was a bright red bird, from which a potent essence of fierce fire radiated. It was, in fact, a treasure-grade artifact, the vermilion bird flag. Yen immediately recognized the treasure. She stated that the owner of this magic treasure was likely the Fire Cloud Fairy from Linglong Blessed Land, one of the 10 beauties of the Immortal Tao, also known as the Vermilion Bird, and that this was her signature magic treasure. In her time, she had ventured into the underworld, slaying countless earth demons and asuras. She had long since reached the 7th level of divine abilities, the Golden Core stage, and her fame was widespread. Rumor had it that she disappeared 10 years ago while exploring Guishu, returning to ruins, to think she had perished here in the Taiyuan Immortal Mansion. If she entered 10 years ago, that means she spent 3,600 years here. Feng Han sighed, a beauty reduced to white bones.
What a pity!
Yen exclaimed, Feng Han. Her divine ability seed, the Golden Core, has not decayed. Haha, her Golden Core is still here. Yen carefully examined the radiance within the skull. Suddenly, with a swipe of its claw, the skull shattered.
A smooth, shimmering golden core, imbued with immense magical power, slowly floated out from within.
A golden core is a seed formed by the condensation of various divine abilities, a natal great golden core. The human body decays easily, but a golden core is not so easily corrupted.
The Jin, gold metal, in golden core, signifie incorruptibility.
It is just not clear why, in the novel Yongsheng, the golden core is actually cultivated within the skull. After 3,600 years, this divine ability seed golden core was still entirely radiant. Yen observed it carefully, stating that this golden core contained a total of 28 divine abilities. She noted, Black Sun Wind Calamity and Great Sun Fire Calamity, such powerful divine abilities are all contained within. Unfortunately, the Doomsday Heavenly Calamity is not among them. Feng Han asked, can this divine ability seed Great Golden Core be refined? He continued, if I could refine it for myself, wouldn't its power be immense? Yen replied, you have not yet cultivated to the Tianren, heaven-human/natural realm. You cannot comprehend the mysteries of the Great Tao. Refining this divine ability seed Golden Core is impossible for you now. Feng Han pressed on, if, after I comprehend the Tianren mysteries, I refine this Golden Core, can I become a Golden Core Master instantly? Yen replied, no. It would only be a pseudo-Golden Core. This Golden Core belongs to someone else. She elaborated, their lifetime of effort, the spiritual imprint of their arduous cultivation, is all within it. If you refine it into your own Golden Core, you will never be able to step into the longevity realm in your entire life. Forging a true Golden Core is a spiritual baptism, a process of life's metamorphosis. Without this process, your life essence will be incomplete. Sure, refining it will greatly boost your power, but your body will not transform, and your lifespan will not increase. Only by using your own essence, spirit, and cultivation methods to condense a seed of divine abilities and life force, thereby undergoing a profound metamorphosis, will your body truly transform, and thus your lifespan increase. Yen spoke with earnest patience, as if fearing Feng Han might stray onto a heretical path. Feng Han was disheartened. Then is this thing useless? Yen said, of course it is useful. You can study this Golden Core to learn the cultivation methods for its 28 divine abilities. Moreover, after you cultivate to the Tianren realm, we can join forces, using the Yellow Spring's sacred water to slowly decompose this Golden Core, reverting it to its primordial Gang Qi. Then you can absorb this Gang Qi to cultivate, making those divine abilities your own. Finally, with the Martial Emperor's Great Demon Divine Ability as the core and the other divine abilities as supplementary, you can forge a natal divine ability seed even stronger than this Golden Core. This is the best way to appropriate the Golden Core's power. Simply put, if Feng Han cultivates to the Tianren realm, He can then decompose this golden core, comprehend the 28 divine abilities within, and subsequently refine them one by one using their respective methods. With the readily available Gang Qi from the golden core, the refinement process would be smooth and natural. Among the 28 divine abilities are formidable ones like the Black Sun Wind Calamity and Great Sun Fire Calamity, supreme esoteric grand arts of this caliber. In the future, they will all belong to Feng Han. Yen stored the golden core in the Yellow Springs diagram. Meanwhile, Feng Han also put the vermilion bird flag away. This vermilion bird flag contained an extremely potent fire essence. In the future, when he reached the Tianren realm, it could be used to cultivate the Red Emperor Fire Qi. After that, they searched for a long time again, turning over all the corpses in the hole, but found nothing more. Feng Han then sat down quietly to regulate the mana in his body and absorb the immortal spiritual energy from the World Tree. Yen, meanwhile, took the more than 100,000 heavenly demons in the martial Jade King Cauldron and began successively refining them into Biluo Great Pills. These were provisions for Demoness Feng Xiaolin. Feng Han could not bear to let a delicate beauty by his side starve to death. Just like that, Feng Xiaolin's expression flickered for a while. Then she curtsied to Feng Han and said, "Many thanks, young master." From this moment on, Feng Xiaolin had truly accepted Feng Han as her young master. Time passed just like that. Feng Han circulated his Gang Qi for 3 consecutive months. It became increasingly agile and also increasingly profound. However, he still could not comprehend the changes of yin and yang, to make his Gang Qi suddenly become spirited and give birth to wisdom. Feng Han felt that faint, almost imperceptible barrier, but he just could not break through it. However, he was not anxious. Whenever he circulated his Gang Qi and felt himself becoming impatient, he would stop circulating it, stand up, and walk around the Great Hole, observing this magnificent and towering Taiyuan immortal mansion. He dared not force his way through some of the sealed stone doors deep within the Taiyuan immortal mansion. He dared not try to break them. But he spent a lot of his leisure time looking at the carvings, patterns, and paintings within the immortal mansion, and the overall architectural style. He studied them a lot in his spare time. Gradually, he began to comprehend some things intuitively. Another year passed. Although Feng Han still had not comprehended the 4th level, the Yin-Yang stage, he had thoroughly reviewed the Azure Emperor Wood's sovereign art from beginning to end once more. A year had passed in the hole, which was actually only 1 day outside. At this moment, Feng Han was just a tiny step away from the 4th level of the Divine Abilities Secret Realm, the Yin-Yang stage.
Just a little bit away.
And this little bit required an epiphany. Without an epiphany, he might be stuck at this bottleneck.
One day, Feng Han sut dans l'isiged, life is truly lonely.
He stretched lazily, and then asked Yen, "How much time has passed?" Yen said, "We've been in here for 1 year and 3 months.
10 days, au lieu ve donis cultivat, cultivat, cultivat.
But you still haven't broken through to the Yin-Yang stage, the 4th level of divine abilities, the spiritual awakening. Unfortunately, I am a naturally formed dragon vein. My spiritual wisdom developed gradually over long eons. My abilities are innate. I can't explain my experiences to you. And in this great hall, there's no one else to ask. If you were in the Yuhua sect, you could ask Jia Lan, or those great elders of the sect. Then your progress would be faster."
What a pity.
Simply put, Feng Han still lacked a cultivation teacher who could provide him with professional guidance. Of course, the appearance of this person would not be far off. Feng Han stood up and strolled around the Great Hall again. He saw Demoness Feng Xiaolin sitting cross-legged, silently, continuously cultivating her mana. Around her were large gourds, filled with Yuanying pills, life-extending golden pills, Biluo Great Pills, and also 6 Yang sacred water. With food and drink, she had enough to focus single-mindedly on her cultivation and advance diligently. Seemingly hearing Feng Han's footsteps, the Demoness quickly opened her eyes, slowly stopped her cultivation, and stood up. Feng Han quickly waved his hand, "Don't be so formal.
You continue your cultivation.
By the way, how is your cultivation going? Has your mana improved recently?" Feng Xiaolin replied, "Young master, my mana cultivation has reached its limit. I should be cultivating true qi now. But in this great hall, there is no heaven and earth spiritual energy, no formless qi that I can absorb. So I can't cultivate true qi." That is to say, Feng Xiaolin was still at the peak of the first level of the Divine Abilities Secret Realm, unable to advance to the second level, the True Qi stage. Feng Han thought for a moment, then asked Feng Xiaolin to cultivate with him the Azure Emperor Wood Sovereign art. He possessed the World Tree, rich in wood qi. Giving Feng Xiaolin a portion to absorb, refining it into True Qi, and even Gang Qi, was not difficult at all. Saying this, he took out the sapling of the World Tree. Then he plucked a leaf and handed it to Feng Xiaolin. Demoness Feng Xiaolin quickly reached out to take it. But as the leaf landed in her hand, her expression changed drastically. The bones throughout her body crackled. This tiny leaf actually weighed several thousand jin. So heavy. Feng Xiaolin barely managed to catch it by circulating her mana. Feng Han said, "This leaf is no small matter. If I hadn't refined the World Tree, don't even think about plucking it. Even if one were to use the Demon Blade Blood Azure Sky to slash it, it wouldn't be able to cut off this leaf. The wood qi contained in this one leaf is 10 times richer than that of the Sky Canopy Divine Needle. Refine it diligently. I will teach you the incantation for the Azure Emperor Wood Sovereign art." Feng Han's spirit moved, and a profound incantation and images were transmitted into the demoness' mind. Then, Feng Han chatted with demoness Feng Xiaolin for a while. After learning that she only had a little over 400 years of lifespan left for cultivation, he could not help but sigh again. "I believe that within these 400 years, you can cultivate to the Tianren realm. In this, the longer the lifespan, the better. Even I feel like my lifespan isn't enough." Feng Han shook his head, a desolate emotion welling up in his mind. His mana surged and roiled, and the World Tree also trembled violently. A tide of wood qi surged forth.
Sudanli, a mystérieux voice came from the depth of the great hall, from the centermost stone door.
It seemed that deep within the palace, something had sensed this aura. Although this exclamation was not loud, Feng Han, the demoness, and Yen all heard it. All three looked shocked. They had been in this great hall for over a year, and it had always been dead silent, empty except for white bones and corpses. Although they had been searching for a way out, they had never succeeded. This great hall was vast and deep. In its depths were 3 massive, closed stone doors, upon which countless talismans were drawn. Feng Han dared not force his way through. He could only let his thoughts drift outwards, cautiously probing. Even so, he could feel the terrifying power within. On either side of the 3 main stone doors, there were numerous densely packed smaller doors. Around the great hall, there were also many sealed portals. Including the 3 large doors and those smaller portals, there were a total of 1,296 rooms. Yen explained that the 3 giant stone doors represented 1 begets 2, 2 begets 3, and 3 begets all things. The remaining stone doors represented the number of 1 yuan, which also represented all things. Now, suddenly hearing a mysterious voice coming from behind a giant stone door was indeed chilling.
The aura of the World Tree? The voice mused. Impossible.
Such a thing cannot possibly still exist between heaven and earth. But this aura. Then, an immense thought wave emanated from behind the sealed stone door. Although it carried no harm, the oppressive feeling it exuded was far more powerful than even Hua Tiandu's. This was clearly a master of the longevity realm. Feng Han quickly cupped his fists and asked, "Which senior is this? Did you also enter the Taiyuan Immortal Mansion and get sealed within?" The voice fell silent for a moment, then clearly enunciated words were transmitted, "Correct. I am trapped within this profound treasure gate. Within the Taiyuan Immortal Mansion, the most mysterious and powerful are these 3 profound treasure gates. I knew it from the moment you entered. But I didn't expect you to possess the World Tree, such a wondrous treasure. However, your cultivation is too poor. Merely possessing a Dao artifact, that's not enough." Yen noted that the person did not recognize the Dao artifact, the Yellow Springs diagram. Yen concluded this person must be an ancient, extraordinary being. The Yellow Springs diagram was refined by the Yellow Springs Great Emperor 6,000 years ago. He spent 3,000 years arduously refining it to success. It seems this fellow's history predates even the Yellow Springs diagram. But if it has truly been 6,000 years outside, then over 2 million years should have passed in here. Even immortals cannot live for millions of years. This person cannot possibly be an immortal, can he? Yan's guess was that this person was definitely not an immortal, but a master of the longevity realm can alter the flow of their own time. Moreover, perhaps the accelerated passage of time only applies to this great hall. Inside the 3 profound treasure gates, time might flow the same as the outside world. Faced with so many incredibilities, Feng Han continued to ask, "Who is senior? Please tell me your name, so this junior may pay his respects." The other party replied, "Even if I told you my name, you wouldn't necessarily know it." He sensed that Feng Han was cultivating the Azure Emperor Wood Sovereign art, and asked if he was from the Demon Path. Feng Han told him that he was a disciple of the Immortal Dao's Yuhua sect. He also incidentally mentioned the Tai sect using merit to determine heavenly tribulations, as well as the Immortal Dao's 10 great sects, the Demon Dao's 7 lineages, and the power distribution of the martial sect. This mysterious person clearly also looked down on the practices of the Tai sect. The two chatted for a few more sentences. The mysterious person suddenly sighed, lamenting that even though Feng Han possessed the World Tree, he could only watch helplessly as Feng Han was trapped here to die. Back then, he had personally witnessed the owner of that golden core, Fairy Fire Cloud, her lifespan being exhausted year by year, until she finally died in despair. Feng Han asked, "Is it really impossible to get out of here?" The other party said, "If I could get out, I would have long ago. Why would I still be here now?" The essential core of this immortal mansion is an immortal artifact. All who come to seize it cannot escape the fate of being trapped and dying. Even with my heaven-defying abilities, I cannot escape the profound treasure gate and get out. If I were in the Great Hall, I might be able to get out. However, your cultivation is too weak.
Font un heure de 10.
Since I can't get out, he thought, then I'll just continue cultivating. So he sat down cross-legged again, calmly circulating his mana. This mysterious person who had just appeared was merely an interlude in his life. The most important thing in his life was still cultivation. Seeing Feng Han so calm and composed, the mysterious person couldn't help but sigh in admiration. He naturally noticed the drawbacks left by Feng Han's overly rapid cultivation progress. The drawbacks. If Feng Han were to rely on himself to slowly comprehend, it would probably take at least 3 jiazi, 180 years, or more to advance to the 4th level of the Divine Abilities Secret Realm, the Yin-Yang stage. The mysterious person was bored anyway, and he also faintly felt that Feng Han might hold the key to his escape. So he decided to give Feng Han some guidance. A powerful thought wave shot out from the profound treasure gate. Without any warning, it rushed into Feng Han's mind. Feng Han only felt a terrifying thought wave suddenly enter his mind, like a sharp sword cleaving through his mind out of thin air. The mysterious person forcefully used his thought as an arrow, shattering the barriers in his mind, dividing his spirit. This method was equivalent to a sudden awakening blow, clearing away the side paths for Feng Han, allowing him to attain the true fruit. Feng Han was also a person of enlightenment. At that moment, he had an epiphany. The Wood Sovereign Gang Qi circulated at full power.
The original Wood Sovereign Gang Qi split into 2, 1 yin, 1 yang.
The 2 unique attributes of yin and yang intertwined, gradually brewing forth sentience, spirituality, and wisdom. The Wood Sovereign Gang Qi circulated continuously. Just like that, a year passed in cultivation. At this moment, the yin and yang streams of Wood Sovereign Gang Qi were also undergoing a metamorphosis. They actually formed the figures of a man and a woman.
The man wore an azure wood robe and a 9 dragon crown.
The woman wore a sprout yellow Taoist robe and a phoenix crown. However, their faces could not be seen clearly. Only true majesty was revealed. When the 2 forms solidified, Feng Han's mana suddenly surged. In an instant, it increased to the power of 100,000 galloping fierce horses. The 4th level of divine abilities, the Yin-Yang Dao, was achieved. Feng Han was overjoyed. Truly, 30 years of arduous training is not as good as a single point of guidance from a famed master. If he had to rely on his own comprehension, it would have taken at least 3 jiazi, 180 years or more. But now, in just 1 year, he had entered the 4th level of divine abilities, the Yin-Yang stage. Considering his 900-year lifespan, this directly saved him nearly 200 years of arduous cultivation. After his realm improved, Feng Han could now casually use his Gang Qi to conjure fierce beasts, such as lions like those in the Heavenly Master Grand Art. However, the ones Feng Han conjured were all azure. Seeing Feng Han's power of 100,000 fierce horses, the mysterious person was somewhat astonished. One must know that an ordinary Yin-Yang stage cultivator's mana is between 5 to 6,000 horsepower. Even a 5th level Tianren stage cultivator only has the power of 10,000 galloping horses. The power of 100,000 fierce horses was already close to the mana of a golden core master. What kind of monster was this Feng Han? Of course, the mana quality of a golden core master was far too high. With 10,000 horsepower, they could defeat Feng Han's 100,000 horsepower. After all, a difference of 3 realms was insurmountable. Feng Han chatted with the mysterious person for a while longer, and also mentioned the matter of his 10-year agreement with Hua Tiandu, telling him about it. The mysterious person laughed heartily after hearing it, praising Feng Han's commendable courage. He encouraged Feng Han to continue cultivating, striving to reach the Tianren realm quickly, which would grant him another 800 years of lifespan. If Feng Han lived longer, he could talk with him more. He also mentioned that if Feng Han encountered any difficulties in his cultivation, he could ask him. Thus, Feng Han now had, in effect, a master who could answer his questions and resolve his doubts at any time. Yen couldn't help but exclaim in admiration, "Good heavens! With such a person around, it's no less than being personally taught by the supreme elder of the Yuhua sect. It seems our hope of escape also lies with this person." Feng Han understood this point as well. So he continued to cultivate diligently. Just as Feng Han was engrossed in cultivation within the Taiyuan Immortal Mansion, a great uproar erupted in the Yuhua sect. In the Yuhua Heavenly Palace's Tianqing platform, several great elders gathered. These elders were all masters at the 9th level of divine abilities, true form. Their Taoist techniques were boundless, their divine abilities vast. Among them, Elder Tianqing had already stepped into the longevity secret realm, wielding the power of punishment and life and death. True disciples like Feng Qingxue and Hua Tiandu were now in the Tianqing Hall, recounting the events to these elders. The two attacked each other verbally. Feng Qingxue's voice was icy. Elder Tianqing Hua Tiandu, as the head of our sect's true disciples, actually forced Feng Han, another true disciple, to his death, causing our Yuhua sect to lose a genius. As the eldest senior brother, not only did he fail in his duty to protect his junior brother, but he also relied on his divine abilities to bully the kind and suppress genius. His culpability is undeniable. Elder Tianqing's face was also ice-cold. "Hua Tiandu, what do you have to say in your defense?" This Feng Han's achievements were indeed delightful. To actually be able to kill the 7 Knights Devil Lord and seize the Demon Blade Blood Azure Sky. Furthermore, with the martial Jade King Cauldron, he captured 6 adepts of the Tai sect. This action greatly boosted our prestige. Regarding what Feng Han did, they also felt a sense of satisfaction. The Tai sect was too powerful. In recent years, they had become increasingly arrogant and domineering, even showing signs of wanting to unify the immortal Tao. These elders couldn't openly suppress them, but for a mere disciple like Feng Han to suppress them was most suitable. Moreover, the 2 magic treasures Feng Han obtained were both extremely powerful demonic treasures. If they were brought into the Yuhua sect, it would greatly increase their strength. Now, it had all gone down the drain. It was truly heart-wrenching. Unexpectedly, Hua Tiandu remained unfazed. He did not defend himself. Instead, he directly called for several people. They were actually Feng Qingwei, Xiao Shi, Yinan Tian, and Yuan Jiankong, the 4 inner disciples who had a life-and-death feud with Feng Han. He said to Feng Qingwei, "Tell us, is Feng Han a good person or a bad person? Senior sister Qingxue is your elder sister.
I présumé Yuan-Teli.
You also went overseas this time. How ferocious and evil was Feng Han? Tell us." Hua Tiandu's methods were formidable. He actually brought out Feng Qingwei to argue against Feng Qingxue. This move left everyone speechless. Feng Qingwei glanced at her sister, somewhat hesitant. But then she glanced at Hua Tiandu, and her courage grew. This Feng Han is deeply demonic by nature. He cultivates demonic arts and is lawless. Moreover, he kills everywhere. He's no different from those great devil lords. Sister, you must not be deceived by Feng Han. Otherwise, given his original status, he was merely a horse-tending slave in our family. Why would his cultivation progress so quickly? It must be that an elder from the demon path taught him demonic arts. As Feng Qingwei's voice grew louder, Feng Qingxue's face turned frosty.
Is this how you speak to me?
Sister, this matter is not fabricated by me. Xiaoshi, today you are fortunate to see so many elders. Tell them about your irreconcilable feud. Feng Qingwei spoke even more self-righteously. Thud. Xiaoshi knelt down, wailing loudly, Esteemed elders, you must seek justice for me. Feng Han, that wolf in sheep's clothing, killed my father. My mother, who is cultivating in Linglong blessed land, still doesn't know. If she knew, I don't know how heartbroken she would be. Feng Han is deliberately trying to sow discord between our Yuhua sect and Linglong blessed land. Elder Qianqing was originally also pained by the loss of a talent like Feng Han. But Hua Tiandu's methods were cunning. He did not speak himself, but let a few juniors speak. Especially since one of them was Feng Qingshue's younger sister. This made the matter difficult to judge.
No matter what, Hua Tianduel t'a point en frison.
Plus, his status was special, and his manner was powerful. It was not appropriate to casually reprimand him. Just then, a deep and resonant voice came in. Qianqing, it seems this matter is difficult for you to decide. Upon hearing this voice, the expressions of the many great elders immediately changed drastically. Hua Tiandu's expression also changed slightly. Elder Qianqing was the first to stand up, cupping his fists and saying, Supreme Headmaster, you've come out of seclusion? The many great elders also stood up. The newcomer was actually the headmaster of the Yuhua sect, the foremost master of the Yuhua Ascension Scripture, an ancient magnate, a supreme of the immortal Tao. Accompanying the voice was a ball of clear light, not a person. The voice emanated from within the clear light. Qianqing, since you cannot decide, then let me. This ball of clear light was evidently the form of the Yuhua sect's supreme headmaster. So what judgment will the supreme headmaster of the Yuhua sect make? Why did Feng Qingwei turn into a fat cat? And what is the situation with Yi Nantian and Yuan Jiankong turning into mice? What is the situation? Listen to the next installment to find out. Please give us a like and subscribe, fellow Taoists. Let's continue our chat in the next episode. Immortality Season 5 Episode 13. There are some people you just can't afford to offend. Once you do, things get really difficult, and there's no way to reason with them because in their eyes, it's simply a matter of, I don't like you. Feng Han ran into this very situation with Feng Qingwei, who would constantly find fault with him for no reason. This woman always felt as if Feng Han owed her from a past life, so in this life, he deserved to be her slave. She was always self-righteous about it, arguing that since Feng Han was just a stable slave, how could his cultivation progress so quickly? An elder from the demon sect must have taught him demonic arts. Therefore, his demonic nature ran deep, and he was no different from the great demon lords. Old Demon Hong ponders, isn't this just a baseless accusation? As long as someone decides you are a great demon lord, then you are deemed unforgivably evil. And if you ask why, it's because one sees others as a reflection of what is in their own heart. We sometimes live very narrow-minded lives, perhaps because we are so immersed in our own worlds that we are unable to break free. We don't meet that many people in our lifetime, so why not try to see the good in them? Maybe then you'll discover that everyone is actually quite good. Interpreting the original classics and savoring culture and destiny. Hello everyone, I'm your host from the Donghua section, Feiqian Xinhong, and welcome back to our original analysis video of Immortality. Picking up where we last left off, just as Feng Han was advancing to the 4th level of the Divine Power Realm, the Yuhua sect began a grand debate. Feng Qingxue, of course, filed a complaint, accusing Hua Tiandu of forcing a fellow disciple to his death, an act she deemed truly dishonorable and deserving of severe punishment. However, Hua Tiandu was no ordinary person and directly summoned Feng Qingshue's younger sister, Feng Qingwei, to have the two sisters debate. This woman, Feng Qingwei, held an extreme grudge against Feng Han. Seizing the opportunity, she naturally had to berate him thoroughly. Backing her up were the young master of Sleepless Isle, Xiao Shiye, along with Nan Tianhe and Yuan Jiankong. These men were all birds of a feather and were also extremely displeased with Feng Han. Feng Qingxue had originally thought that facts would speak louder than words, but did not expect this twist. If she had known, she would have called the witness, Long Xian, to be present. Just as Elder Qianqing was finding it difficult to make a decision, the supreme sect master of the Yuhua sect, Feng Baiyu, suddenly appeared. He declared, Feng Han is a true disciple of my Yuhua sect. With achievements like slaying a demon lord and defeating 6 true masters of the Tai sect, such a talented disciple would be a great loss for our Yuhua sect. I predict he will not die inside the Taiyuan immortal abode. We have a responsibility and an obligation to rescue him. Every true disciple of the Yuhua sect is our child. We must know to cherish them. Tiandu, do you understand? Tiandu understands, Hua Tiandu replied, but as he hurriedly tried to explain, he was directly interrupted by the sect master. There are no buts. When you become the sect master in the future, the first thing you must do is protect the interests of our sect's disciples. Then he added, relay my decree. Inner disciple Xiao Shiye is expelled from my Yuhua sect. Feng Qingwei, for her misconduct, is demoted to a calico cat for 1 year. Nan Tianhe and Yuan Zhenkong, for attacking a true disciple, an act of gross insubordination, are demoted to rats for 3 years. As soon as the words were spoken, 3 beams of light shone upon Feng Qingwei, Nan Tianhe, and Yuan Zhenkong. The 3 cried out in pain. Then, Feng Qingwei's entire body gradually shrank, turning into a fat calico cat. As for Nan Tianhe and Yuan Zhenkong, they transformed into 2 large grey rats. Elder Tianqing gasped loudly, you've actually cultivated to the realm where you can change the form of matter. At this, a sense of awe filled all the disciples. Hua Tiandu stared blankly at the 1 cat and 2 rats, unable to believe that just a moment ago they were living people, and in the next, they had become 3 animals. Feng Qingxue pleaded with the sect master, Feng Qingwei is my sister after all. Demoting her to a cat is just too shocking. I beg the Supreme Sect Master to leave her some dignity. The Supreme Sect Master replied, it's no matter. This is also a form of training for them. As long as they can endure the loneliness of being animals and temper their minds, it won't be difficult for them to step into the divine power realm in the future. However, this is a warning to them. Do not casually frame others in the future. Otherwise, it won't be just for 1 year and 3 years, but a lifetime demotion to beasts. Simply put, Feng Baiyu still hoped that after accepting their punishment, Feng Qingwei and the others would be able to repent, turn over a new leaf, and become new people. As for why they were turned into a cat and rats, even old Demon Hong doesn't know. Afterwards, Jean Shirtai's father, Elder Liang, Jean Riley, suddenly spoke up. That Taiyuan immortal abode is fraught with danger. Even immortal Venerable Linglong of the Linglong Blessed Land, in her attempt to save Fairy Huiyun, tried everything but failed, encountering danger several times instead. But Fairy Huiyun is at the 7th level of the Divine Power Realm, a great master of the Golden Core Realm. She is a pillar among the sect's disciples, and the quality of her Golden Core is extremely high, having mastered 28 types of divine powers. Aren't such achievements more important than a mere Feng Han? Why should our Yuhua sect suffer unnecessary losses for 1 Feng Han? Clearly, Jean Riley hoped to use this to dissuade the sect master from rescuing Feng Han. Because of the matter with his son, Jean Shirtai, he wished for nothing more than for Feng Han to die inside the Taiyuan immortal abode. How could the sect master not understand the schemes of Elder Liang, Jean Riley? He immediately rejected him without courtesy, firm in his decision to rescue Feng Han. Elder Tiangong, whose status was comparable to Elder Tianqing's, also advised, sect master, although Liangzi has selfish motives, what he says is not entirely without reason. The Taiyuan immortal abode is indeed fraught with danger. It's a death trap. Immortal Venerable Linglong's divine powers are vast, yet she was still unable to rescue Fairy Huiyun, Elder Tiangong argued. As a point of clarification from the narrator, Jean Shirtai's father is Jean Riley, who holds the Taoist title Liangzi, which is why he is called Elder Liang. After a long silence, the sect master finally spoke. I have my reasons. He then got straight to the point. Qing Xue, let me be blunt. Did you obtain the supreme treasure of the Yellow Springs sect, the Yellow Springs diagram of the Yellow Springs Emperor? Stunned, Feng Qingxue shook her head and replied, reporting to the sect master, the Yellow Springs diagram did not fall into my hands. However, it might have fallen into Feng Han's hands. Is that so? The sect master chuckled softly. With this item, it's no wonder Feng Han could make such rapid progress and cultivate the Yama golden body. That would also explain his great confidence in challenging Tiandu in 10 years. Elder Qianxing had long ago seen that Feng Han was cultivating the Yama golden body and had already reported it to the sect master. For a powerful figure like the Yuhua sect master, there was nothing he couldn't deduce. Indeed, it was precisely because Feng Baiyu believed the Yellow Springs diagram was in Feng Han's hands that he decided to take the risk of rescuing him. Seeing that the sect master and the elders were all concerned about the Yellow Springs diagram, Feng Qingxue hurriedly pleaded, "Sect master, if we rescue Feng Han, I hope you won't force him to hand over the Yellow Springs diagram. After all, it is his fated encounter and cannot be taken by force." It seems that Feng Qingxue is quite decent after all, as she was genuinely considering Feng Han's best interests. This was a relief, as Feng Han had always been worried that if his senior sister discovered the Yellow Springs diagram, she would immediately turn on him. Humph. The Yuhua sect will be rescuing him, giving him a new lease on life. What's the big deal about him contributing to our sect in return? Hua Qiandu snorted coldly, sounding utterly self-righteous. Seemingly enraged, Feng Qingxue retorted, "Hua Qiandu, you obtained the legacy of immortal venerable Panwu. Why haven't you contributed it to the sect? Why haven't you contributed your Dao tools? Furthermore, you were prepared to give 1,000 Jiazi divine pills to the Tai sect. Why not give them to the disciples of our own Yuhua sect instead?" The Supreme Sect Master intervened. "Qiandu, don't comment on these matters anymore. It's understandable that you're close to the Tai sect, I know your thoughts. However, the Tai sect once acted just as you're suggesting, and that is precisely what caused the Linglong tribulation. Back then, immortal venerable Linglong also obtained a heavenly demon Dao tool. The Tai sect tried to force her to hand it over, and as a result, the situation escalated into a catastrophe. We, as elders, have a responsibility and an obligation to rescue him. As for what happens after, it is up to him whether he is willing to hand over the Yellow Springs diagram. If he chooses to contribute it to our Yuhua sect, it shows he considers himself part of the sect. In that case, our sect will naturally reward him accordingly, treating him as a key disciple for nurturing and sheltering him from harm. But if he is unwilling, we will not force him." "Sect Master, you are truly magnanimous," Feng Qingxue said with sincere admiration. Elder Qianxing then asked, "When should we go to the rescue?" Feng Baiyu replied, "Naturally, the sooner the better. However, we must also be wary of the demonic path, the fiend path, and invasions by otherworldly demons. Let's hold a meeting to plan everything carefully before we set off." While the Yuhua sect was planning the rescue mission, Feng Han was still inside the main hall of the Taiyuan immortal abode, continuously circulating his astral qi. 2 clumps of qi, one yin and one yang, constantly transformed into various spirit beasts. Although he had already entered the 4th level of the divine power realm, he knew he still needed to constantly temper his magical power and consolidate his foundation. The 4th level, the yin-yang realm, was wondrous, but it was actually just a transitional stage. Only when the astral qi connects yin and yang can one truly communicate with heaven and man, form various great formations, and enter the inner sanctum of cultivation. Reaching the 5th level, the heaven and man realm, is crucial, as it extends one's lifespan and allows for the cultivation of various divine powers without causing conflict in one's vital energy. The cultivation of divine powers is mainly a spiritual metamorphosis. Sometimes, a single word of enlightenment can cause one's magical power to immediately restructure and produce new changes. Conversely, without enlightenment, one can make no progress at all. During this time, whenever Feng Han encountered a problem, he would ask the mysterious person for guidance. The mysterious person, seemingly bored, would answer any question asked of him, though he never revealed anything about his own origins. Just like that, 10 years passed in a flash. In that decade, Feng Han's cultivation improved by leaps and bounds. Although he still hadn't broken through to the heaven and man realm, he had mastered the yin-yang realm to perfection. Thanks to having an excellent teacher in the mysterious person, he completely mastered the Green Emperor's Wood Emperor divine art. Not only did his cultivation advance rapidly, but the flaws caused by his previously hurried progress were also fixed one by one, making his foundation even more solid than before. During this time, he also studied the Great Cleaving Technique, planning to cultivate it immediately upon reaching the heaven and man realm, where its power would surely be invincible. In terms of his understanding of cultivation, he had already become an expert, thanks to his mysterious teacher's daily guidance. In fact, It was a level of meticulous instruction that not even Hua Tiandu could have received from the supreme sect master of the Yuhua sect. Despite his improvements, Feng Han was still a little dissatisfied. 10 years had passed, and he still hadn't broken through to the heaven and man realm. Thinking of his 10-year pact with Hua Tiandu, he couldn't help but find it amusing. He could now finally admit to himself that his bold claim of challenging Hua Tiandu in 10 years had been unreliable. "That's nothing," the mysterious person burst into laughter after hearing this. "Hua Tiandu received the legacy of immortal venerable Panwu, so he is naturally very powerful. However, you possess the world tree. As long as you nurture it until it grows and truly connects to the immortal world, even a living immortal venerable Panwu would be no match for you." Yen suddenly spoke up, interjecting, "Even 100 million years isn't enough time for the world tree to grow. Even the masters of the God clan don't possess such a long lifespan." "Hee, you little dragon, you actually know about the God clan," the mysterious person remarked. "In these 10 years." In the past 10 years, the mysterious person had talked a lot with Yen and knew that the little dragon was the dragon vein of the Yellow Springs sacred river. Yen, in turn, said that knowing about the God clan was nothing special. "We even captured 2 of them," he boasted, before throwing out the bodies of 2 God clan members. At this sight, even the mysterious person showed deep shock. "The God clan has reappeared," he said grimly. "Heaven and earth are about to fall into chaos again. 10,000 years ago, the God-annihilating war shook all realms. Many immortal venerables fell back then, and even immortal venerable Panwu died at the hands of the God clan. I thought the God clan was wiped out back then." In response to Feng Han's questions, the mysterious person explained the history of the God clan and the world tree. A long time ago, the world tree was cut down by the ancestor saint king of the God clan. It was then completely shattered, and its fragments were scattered throughout heaven and earth. It was cut down because the world tree posed a fatal threat to the God clan. Any member who came into contact with it would be completely drained of their essence, without even a speck remaining. This is because the God clan was born from a mysterious type of primordial energy in heaven and earth, which, just like the spiritual energy of the immortal world, is nourishment for the world tree. Feng Han could not directly absorb the power of the gods, but after it was refined and transformed by the world tree, he could use it. Although this couldn't greatly increase his magical power, it could help him gain a deeper understanding of the essence of the world and thus quickly enter the heaven and man's secret realm. Furthermore, if he could collect the scattered fragments of the world tree and integrate them into his seedling, he might be able to quickly restore some of the tree's wonders, reducing the time needed to cultivate it. Yen burst into laughter upon hearing this. He had been studying how to absorb the power of the gods, but never thought the solution could be so simple. Feeling as if he had been enlightened, Feng Han decided to try it immediately. He hurriedly activated the roots of the world tree between his eyebrows, which fiercely took root in the body of a God clan member. The body instantly shriveled up as Feng Han felt a stream of divine power being absorbed and integrated into the world tree. Immediately after, he felt a subtle and mysterious primordial chi being transmitted from the world tree and absorbed by his mind. It was like opening a window. The world became clearer before his eyes. In that moment, his understanding of the heaven and man realm was shattered and rebuilt. Having mastered the Yin-Yang realm, he gained a new, deeper understanding. The leaf he had given to the demoness sprouted anew. In these 10 years of cultivation, the demoness Feng Xiaolin had also refined that leaf and successfully cultivated to the true energy realm. However, she was still some distance from stepping into the 3rd level of the divine power realm, the astral chi realm. Nevertheless, her strength had greatly increased, reaching the power of 800 galloping fierce horses. While the demoness' 800 horsepower is far less than Feng Han's 100,000, it is still quite powerful, as an ordinary expert at the 2nd level true energy realm typically has a strength between 300 and 800. For comparison, when Feng Han first advanced to this level, he only had 600 horsepower, which he increased to 2,000 through the Blackwater King Snake and then to 12,000 with the Dharma-spreading Saraira. Simply put, Feng Xiaolin didn't have any heaven-defying pills to consume. Otherwise, her potential could have been even greater than Feng Han's. After absorbing the power of the gods, Feng Han's cultivation further improved, and his vision was as if he had pushed open a window by half. As long as he pondered carefully, stepping into the 5th level of the divine power realm, the heaven and man realm, would not be difficult. By then, his lifespan would greatly increase, and he could simultaneously break down the golden core and possess 28 types of divine powers. This prospect made even the mysterious person exclaim in admiration, "Back when I was at your stage, I didn't have such good luck." However, Feng Han sighed. His current situation could not be considered good luck. Trapped in the Taiyuan immortal abode, he didn't know when he would be able to get out. He himself was fine, but the demoness Feng Xiaolin's situation was worrying. The Yuan Ying pills, life-extending golden pills, and blood pills had all been consumed. Although some of the more than 10,000 Azure Cloud Grand pills were left, they were not enough to last another 10 years. As for the 6 Yang holy water, only a few drops remained. Once the pills were gone, she would have to rely on Feng Han transferring vital energy to her to survive. Feng Han couldn't help but sigh. It's a good thing Hua Qiandu sent Long Xian out back then. Otherwise, having to transfer energy to 2 people every day, my body really couldn't take it. Feng Han thought for a moment, then sat down cross-legged and continued to cultivate. He decided not to absorb the remaining God Clan body for now, as it wouldn't increase his strength much anyway. He planned to see if he could refine it into a life-extending pill after he had cultivated the 28 types of divine powers. Simply put, Feng Han was already eyeing the God Clan's body as a resource. He couldn't help but ask the mysterious person, "How much longer do I have to cultivate before I can step into the heaven and man realm?" The other replied, "At least 5 years, at most 8. Your current Wood Emperor divine art of the Green Emperor has reached its peak. It will be difficult to break through by continuing to grind at it. It's better to switch to another cultivation, for example, the Yama Golden Body. Cultivate it again. The physical body is a treasure, and cultivating divine powers depends entirely on it. This should allow it to work better with the Wood Emperor divine art." Feng Han asked doubtfully, "Cultivate the Yama Golden Body? But there is no Earth Primordial Qi here. I can only cultivate the Wood Emperor Astral Qi because of the World Tree." "No matter," the mysterious person said. "You can use the World Tree to slowly communicate with the Earth. Then, use both Earth and Wood Qi for a dual impact of physical body and magical power. It's a good way to break through to the heaven and man realm." "Alright, then I'll listen to you, Senior," Feng Han said, surprised that the World Tree could do this but willing to try. He gathered his physical energy, fiercely activated the Yama Golden Body, and used the World Tree to sense the Earth, communicate with heaven and man, and call upon the Earth Primordial Qi. The World Tree is truly miraculous. The Great Hall's time and space were self-contained and isolated from the outside world, but the roots of the World Tree could fold space-time and penetrate anywhere. Traces of Earth essence were carefully found and grasped by Feng Han, forcibly pulled into the roots of the World Tree, and then infused into his body. As time went by, the Earth Qi around Feng Han's body became thicker and thicker, gradually forming a golden yellow eggshell that enveloped him. The World Tree proved to be omnipotent, providing whatever was needed. And so, Feng Han cultivated the Yama Golden Body for a year. Then, with Earth Qi as his foundation, he began to refine the Emperor Earth Tao of the 5 Emperors' great demon divine power. 2 more years passed. On this day, Feng Han felt that his body had accumulated enough Wu Earth Primordial Qi. After a moment of deliberation, he followed the mysterious person's advice, planning to mix the Earth and Wood Qi together in a massive explosion to break through to the heaven and man realm. So, can Feng Han advance to the 5th level of the divine power realm in the explosion?
Will the rescue team from the UUA sect arrive in time?
Find out in the next episode.